Hey, I'm Dallas with LowerGear Outdoors. We are a kayak shop in Tempe, Arizona. We have about 15 different brands that we carry here at the shop and 150 models or so. So it gets a little confusing sometimes looking at the various options if you come in just without anything specific in mind. One common thing is somebody may step in and say, I'm interested in sort of a 12-foot sit-on-top kayak. We've got all kinds of them. Some might be $600 or $700 and some might be $5,000. What I wanted to show here are two pedal drive fishing kayaks that are right now with current pricing is about an $800 difference. It doesn't mean that one of them is the best one for you, the more expensive one, or you can only afford the less expensive one. But somebody can make the decision on, is it worth $800 more for the more expensive one? And that's what we wanted to try to accomplish here today. We'll just go through some of the comparisons. We have a Riot Mako 12 here, and we have an Old Town Salty PDL on this side. So let's compare and contrast the two. So let's go over some of the basics of these. They're both right at 12 foot long, I think, give or take an inch or so. They're within a ½ inch of each other in terms of width. The carrying capacity on this one, however, is quite a bit more. This one is rated at 470 pounds, I believe, and the carrying capacity on this one is more like 350 or so. So you would see that difference in the specs. Working our way back, have a little bit difference in handle. Any of these with the molded in handle is a little bit of an advantage in my view. You never have to worry about them wearing out, and are actually a little bit easier to use than this style. They have similar front tank wells. This one's a little bit bigger, and you'll notice generally there's more room in front of the seat on the Mako and there's more room in the back on the Salty, but both set up pretty well for storage. There is an additional opening here, the hatch, that you can access and store stuff down in the hull. And in this case, the Riot is a little bit better for in-hull storage. The Old Towns have a lower recessed cockpit floor, which makes it better for seating because you've got this additional height here. It's just easier to sit up and down in an Old Town than it is in this one and some of the other models as well. I'm going to come back to the drives, but on the Mako and on the Salty, they're both going to have molded in rod holders. There are 4 of them on the Riot Mako and 3 of them on the Salty. Both have lots of gear tracks, so there's not really an advantage or disadvantage one way or another on those. There's a little, just slightly, but there's a little bit more interior cockpit space on the floor on the Riot than there is the Salty. The Salty does have some nice standing pads that the Riot does not. Generally, the firmness and the fit and finish on the Salty is going to be better than it is on the Riot Mako, but this Mako 12 is close to 20 pounds lighter than the Old Town. So this one is going to be easier for transportation. Particularly if you have to car top it. They achieve this lighter weight. Obviously it has less plastic in it, and with that less plastic you'll get a little more flex in the floor. On the Makos you get like 0 flex on the Old Town. And then working our way back here to the seat, you are going to have a nicer seat with the Old Town Salty. Just the fit, finish, materials are a little bit better. The seat of it is a little bit wider, maybe just an inch or so, but that sometimes counts. The adjustments on it. This is easier to remove the seat on the Salty than it is the Mako. But this is a sort of a standard seat that there's probably 20 different models out there that use the same seat. They'll both last a long time. But again, just some of the individual pieces would be a little bit better on the Old Town. Let's first take a quick look at the pedal drive for the Old Town. It's well built, solid, quiet, pretty easy to get out of harm's way. When you're needing to pull out, you pull on coming ashore, you can just set it on this little recessed area here, and then it is easy to deploy and lock back in. It does have a little storage compartment there. It does have a gasket on it. Only downside to it, it is heavy. It's about 20 pounds, which is going to be quite a bit more than the Riot one, but it's got a 5-year guarantee. Just steady as a rock. But the only thing you need to watch out for is the prop. And it comes with a spare pin, but you might consider just having an extra prop with you. This is the drive on the Mako. It's called the Impulse drive. Totally different makeup. This one's a whole lot lighter. It has weighs about 8 pounds instead of 20 that's on the Old Town one. Very simple design. There's a flywheel here, and it drives the shaft to a worm gear here, and that drives the prop. It's easily stored there. There's a little latch here that'll lock it down while you're transporting it. It will fit down like this, and then you do this 2 times, and that snaps it in. It's a little bit louder than the Old Town one, but it's not bad underway in water. One thing to note on these is if you're, say, taking it down the Salt River or something, and you've got to leave this in your vehicle, you do want to plug this hole. It's if you're just paddling, water will churn in this area, and so the Riot has this foam, basically just like a big scupper plug. The Old Town one doesn't come with that, but there are some third-party providers that, or you can make your own, just a little plate that would go in there if you don't have the drive in it. The rudder setups on these kayaks are somewhat similar. This can go either on the left or right hand side, and it just will fit into the gear track, so it's flexible as far as positioning. You can put it in front or in back of the seat. The steering on the Old Town Salty is in a fixed position, but again, just simple left and right. The rudders on them are similar. The Salty one is a little bit bigger, but it's just up and down. The up and down on the Salty, there's a handle onto the right hand side of the seat on that one, and then on the Mako you have pull handles. There's one on either side. You just pull those one way or another to raise and lower the rudder. And then lastly, we have the rear tank wells. And then earlier we were talking about how the front tank well on the Mako was bigger than the one on the Salty. The reverse of that is true in the rear. This is bigger than the one here. You do have a little bit of hull access here for running wires and rudder control access. On the Salty, there's nothing back here, but there is a somewhat similar access underneath the hull. So I went over most of the similarities and differences between the Riot Mako 12 and the Salty PDL 12. So now the question is, that is unanswerable, which one is best? This one is $800, currently is $800 more than this one in our shop. The fit and finish on the Old Town is going to be better than it is on the Mako. The seat is going to be a little more comfortable getting in and out of, and sitting there. You've got probably more room in the Mako. It's 20 pounds lighter, which can be a big deal in some cases. And the question then becomes, can I spend that $800 on something else? That's enough to buy a fish finder or other things that you might want to add to this one that would be baked into the cost on this. The Old Town is American made. This one is imported. That sometimes comes into people's decisions. But anytime you want to stop in and take a look and make your own decision, kick the tires on it if you will, we're here every day, so stop on by or check us out online at lowergear.com.